from her aura. I was directing that towards Kumar. Does he know his name being mentioned even? I don't know. Kumar Prabhu.
Today's Friday or Saturday?
Friday. See what you wanted to talk about. Tell me again.
Disciple-guru
and guru relationship.
What should it be?
Right.
What should I aspire to?
Okay.
I'm just
These
trying.
are not the glasses.
I'm trying to get to take initiation.
It's the other pair of glasses, Prabhu. That's why I wanted.
Okay.
These are putting a hole in my nose.
Okay. Get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, I can by replacing them.
Throw those away.
Yeah.
Throw those in the trash, Prabhu.
Yeah.
They're broken. Get them out of the way.
See, it's the thing that's breaking. Yeah.
Just get rid of them.
These are the ones. These aren't the ones I cleaned, but fortunately they are clean. We should still have Bhagavatam class, but this is a perfect subject matter for me to discuss right now. We're on text 22 probably, right? 21?
I don't know, I missed a couple of days, Prabhu.
Yeah, me too.
20.
Oh, only 20? I thought I saw 20.
22.
22.
Is it 22? Yeah, I thought so. This is turning 21. Because I think I did 20. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devam Saraswatim Vyasam.
Saraswati Vyasam.
Jayam Udhiraya. Nastaprayashu Bhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttima Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki.
Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 22. Tatapi
Tatapi
Ekanta
Ekanta
Bhakteshu.
Bhakteshu
Tatapi Ekanta Bhakteshu.
Tatapi Ekanta Bhakteshu
Pasya
Pasya
Upan Ukampatam.
Upanukampitam
Pasya Upan Ukampitam.
Pasya Upanukampitam
Yan
Yan
Me
Me
Sam
Sam
Jadita
Jayatita
Sakshat.
Satsa
Yan Me Sam Jadita Sakshat.
Yan Me Sam
Jajat Sakshat
Satsa
Krishna
Krishna
Darshanam
Darshanam
Agata.
Agata
Krishna Darshanam Agata. Tatapi Ekanta Bhakteshu. Pasyapa Bhupam Kampitam.
Pitam
Yan Me Samzojata. I'm sorry, let me read that again. Yan Me Samstvajata Saksat.
Yan Me Sam
Jajat Sakshat
Krishna Darshanam Agata.
Krishna Darshanam Agata
Tatapi Ekanta Bhakteshu.
Tatapi Ekanta Bhakteshu
Pasya Bhupanukampitam.
Pasya Upanukampitam
Yan Me Samstvajata Saksat.
Yan Me Samstajata
Krishna Darshanamagata.
Krishna darshanamagata.
Please chant.
Tatapi ekanta bhakteshu
Tatapi ekanta bhakteshu
Pasya
Pasyabupankampitam
Yanme samstyajata sakshat
Yanme samstyajata sakshat
Krishna darshanamagata.
Krishna Darshanamagata. Tatapi ekanta bhakteshu Pasyabupankampitam Yanme samstyajata sakshat Krishna Darshanamagata. Tatapi still ekanta unflinching
Unflinching
bhakteshu
bhaktishu
unto the devotees
unto the devotees.
Pasya
Pasya
see here
here
Bhupa
Buka,
O king
O King,
Anukampitam
anukampitam
how sympathetic
how sympathetic,
yet
yet
for which
for which
may
my
asun
awesome
life
life,
Vyajita
Kajajita,
ending
ending,
Satsat
Satsat,
directly
directly.
Krishna
Krishna,
the personality of Godhead
personality of Godhead.
Darshanam
Darshanam,
in my view
in my view,
Agata
Agata
has kindly come
has kindly come.
Tatapi Bhupanukam Tatapi ekanta bhukteshu Pasya Bapanukampitam Yanme samstyajata saksat Krishna Darshanamagata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Yet, despite His being equally kind to everyone, He has graciously come before me while I am ending my life, for I am His unflinching servitor. Please repeat. Yet, despite His being equally kind to everyone,
Yet despite His being equally kind to everyone,
He has graciously come before me
He has graciously come before me
while I am ending my life,
while I am ending my life.
for I am His unflinching servitor.
For I am His unflinching servitor.
Yet, despite His being equally kind to everyone, He has graciously come before me while I am ending my life, for I am His unflinching servitor. Purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord, the absolute personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, although equal to everyone, is still more inclined to His unflinching devotee, who is completely surrendered and knows no one else as His protector and master. Having unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord as one's protector, friend, and master is the natural condition of eternal life. A living entity is so made by the will of the Almighty that he is most happy when placing himself in a condition of absolute dependence. The opposite tendency is the cause of fall down. The living entity has this tendency of falling down by dint of misidentifying himself as fully independent, lorded over the material world. The root cause of all troubles is there in false egotism. One must draw towards the Lord in all circumstances. The appearance of Lord Krishna at the deathbed of Bhishmaji is due to his being an unflinching devotee of the Lord. Arjuna had some bodily relation with Krishna because the Lord happened to be his maternal cousin. But Bhishma had no such bodily relation. Therefore, the cause of attraction was due to the intimate relation of the soul. Yet because the relation of the body It's very pleasing and natural. The Lord is more pleased when he is addressed as the son of Maharajananda, the son of Yasoda, the lover of Radharani. This affinity by bodily relation with the Lord is another feature of reciprocating, loving service with the Lord. Bhishmadev is conscious of the sweetness of transcendental humor, and therefore he likes to address the Lord as Vijay, Shake, Partha Shake, etc., exactly like Nanda Nandana or Yasoda Nandana. The best way to establish our relationship in transcendental sweetness is to approach him through his recognized devotees. One should not try to establish the relation directly. There must be a via medium guru, which is transparent and competent to lead us to the right path. Om Jnana Timirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshusun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This last statement being made by Srila Prabhupada is exactly what you are speaking of, that we go to the Guru in order to gain entrance to Krishna personally. Bhishmadev had surrendered his entire life by the love he had shown to his father as well. But ourselves in ISKCON, what we want to discuss as far as the relationship with the Guru, as I was explaining my own relationship, because I came to develop such an appreciation for my own Guru's purity, because I had a previous experience with a Guru that fell down. And so I have no qualms against someone falling under the, clutches of Maya, because when we look at the weaknesses of others who was put in a position of authority by Srila Prabhupada himself, as though they are ordinary persons, it can cause us to fall down as well. So I have no qualms against him, but in the way he fell down is not good even by mundane standards. You fall down as a sannyasi and get married, that's one thing. But to, harm young children on their stages of development, that's really bad, in my mind, really ignorant. But my Guru came at the defense of Srila Prabhupada, and when the Gurus who found themselves in a fallen state and yet able to confess before all the devotees, because there was so much being brought to the awareness of the faithful devotees, and yet there was so much being stated that you commit offenses against a pure devotee, then you're demonic, you'll be kicked out of the movement, all this other, that was the threat, And yet there were gurus that were breaking the principles regularly. So when they did come forward and confess, for those that were having doubts themselves, as I was in that situation, for me it was a big relief that they had the unction to be able to come forward. It takes a lot of guts, you might say, to confess, especially for as many years as they had been themselves exercising their position in the movement as very strict, authorized presenters of Srila Prabhupada's movement, and wanting themselves to establish what they were proclaiming themselves to be the highest standards of Krishna consciousness. But see, when this came out, then there was a book written monkey on a stick by a statement Srila Prabhupada had made about keeping monkeys from causing problems in the temple. Find a dead monkey and then put him up on a stick. And when the monkeys see, they don't want to come around because they think if they're there, they're going to be killed. You know? And so that was made out of it was taken out of context. And my guru, Ravindra, was able to have an interview with this writer, author of this book, Monkey on a Stick, and he had some really bad things to say about the movement, about Srila Prabhupada. But by his conversation with my guru, then he softened the book's effect on the general public, which, I don't know, they might have tried to turn ISKCON off altogether, you know, because at that time, it's just like the Catholic Church. Whenever a pope, I guess pope would be the highest, Srila Prabhupada would, above that, the question of breaking regulative principles by personal observation of his disciples and record of him every day devotees were with him. He was constantly, like Krishna, he's never without company. So, but when these gurus putting themselves in his position was the problem. And for them, I'm sure it was a great learning lesson as well that Srila Prabhupada was in a higher position, able to overcome Maya more powerfully than they had realized. But see, I saw the humility in Ravindra that enabled him to be a strong proponent of Krishna consciousness before the national news on television. This was way before the internet, right? 1986. And they were questioning my guru about the validity now of the movement of Srila Prabhupada, and he stood up for Srila Prabhupada and explained how Kirtananda had not been following so many things. And by defending the movement, I saw that he was actually taking, by being a humble servant of Srila Prabhupada, a position that could justify in the minds of people that otherwise had no reason to have any feelings against ISKCON as an institution. And yet, he was by upholding faithfully Srila Prabhupada's precepts, he was able to speak on behalf of the movement. And this gave me a lot of faith in the authority that he was revealing by his sincerity, by his humbleness, and by the way he was able to communicate. And then I came to find out that his studies was in religious studies, and he had gained his degree in religious studies. So that had a big impact on me as well. And then when he wrote a book about Srila Prabhupada, revealing who Srila Prabhupada was in Krishna Lila, wow, that really, I was already his disciple by this time, but this was the first book I had read. I think it was probably the first one he had published. But wow, this reveals a conversation that Balaram and Krishna were having. And Balaram asked Krishna, how is this philosophy of chanting holy names going to spread throughout the entire planet Earth? And Srila Prabhupada and Krishna said, I will send my general. See, in the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna's general had to fight against Krishna. Isn't that his whole army? And they love Krishna. Can you imagine that? What feelings of separation? See, even though they're military men on a battlefield, they can feel separation. And he's their master. He's their Lord, and many of them as well realized of who he was. They spent their lives dedicated to him. And by force of fate, Krishna's own speaking, then gave the choice to Duryodhana. You can pick my army or pick me. And he'd already taken a vow he wouldn't pick up a weapon. So then Duryodhana immediately felt he's going to gain control of the military. And this in and of itself, his desire for the military of Krishna's own army, then Krishna himself, reveals that he didn't know who Krishna was. And even Arjuna, not knowing to the extent until later on the battlefield, still feeling compassion as being his familial. This says something as well, doesn't it? See, Arjuna wasn't at that point or stage of revealing what was revealed on the battlefield to him when Krishna revealed his universal form. So he wasn't seeing. And he actually told Krishna, please turn it off. I can't take it anymore, right? And so he hadn't come to that stage yet. And still, he chose Krishna. So that reveals what kind of love. Even though he didn't have the first choice, he chose Krishna anyways. Would have chosen Krishna. But there's something about the description I remember in Mahabharata. I believe he was given back the choice. Then Duryodhana somehow, he got the choice back and chose Krishna first. Because he was looking at Krishna. He was the first one to see Krishna open his eyes. That's what it was. And so that's how he actually got the first choice and chose Krishna. So, see, the guru is someone, unlike my immature view of the guru, because I saw all the devotees to me were saints. Any one of them to me were qualified. When I had read that, which I read from Upadeshamrita, anyone that gains the ability to control the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So that being read in and of itself without a guru, one may make the conclusion that they themselves are guru. Jai Shri Radha Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Mahesh Subhadra, Jai Shri Ganesh. And so that can be misinterpreted. And see, this is Guru's principal relationship to the disciple, is to enable them to be connected to Krishna in a way that they can understand the meanings of Krishna's words, and they become Guru within our hearts as well. They're joined with Krishna. By our association of them, then, when questions come to our mind, the relationship we've developed with our Guru is so solid that you will hear him answering in your time of need the answers to your questions. And that form he takes. Sometimes we ask questions that are of such nature that would misdirect Krishna's thought. We have to direct his thoughts upon us. See, that's where Guru, knowing right where we are, has come down to us. We should see like this. Guru comes down from his platform to be able to meet us where we are. So I was nobody in the movement. I had no means of being able to ascertain advanced forms of love of God to be able to determine in my Guru. But what I saw from his life moved me because I felt as though he had gotten the message, you know. So when you see that in a soul that is developing love for Krishna and their ability to communicate Srila Prabhupada's message in the purity that you would hope it would be presented as, then you can know that person, can help. Now, you and me and AJ, all of us, we play guru roles to one another. And when we give class, It's like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said, if you're not learning while you're teaching, you're not teaching. You know? So yeah, I agree with that as well. And to think that nobody has anything to offer us, that's where the false ego is not broken yet. And this is what happens I don't want to singularize one particular path out, because that path has turned into so many paths that it is obvious that the unity that can only be experienced by the breaking of the false ego, by people in any institution. Because you'll see that institutions break up because of the false egos of the people that make them up, generally speaking, a lot of times. And so Krishna consciousness is supposed to be good for 10,000 years, and we can see that the need will be for us to have broken false egos. And as Srila Prabhupada's words, where you will show your love for me by how well you were able to cooperate with one another. And that's where the big failure is right now in government. Become enemies towards each other. Words of the Savior of the Christians, house that's divided against itself cannot stand. Which in my mind means it will not stand. And then it means it's going to fall down. I hate to see falling down of any institution that is meant for the protection of society. But when the innocent are being punished for crimes that are not crimes, and people are getting away with crimes that should be punished, and they should be told, this is bad government, bad situation going on around the world. It's not only in our local facilities within the United States. It's not within only one country overseas either. It's going on in people's minds. They are fighting in their minds over precepts every day that these wars are being fought over, and judging in their minds whether it's worth it or not, or to speak to people on the battlefield, which is why it's so important. If there's one teaching system that is the right teaching system taught to all the youngest students growing up from the youngest ages, and they learn how to live in peace with one another, then we become a strong people that can actually make exponentially great steps in advancement in human communications and human relationships, which is what we're not able to do in the present state the world is in with its relationships with each other, with the nation's relationships with each other. And all these nations being created. In some cases, I don't know, government, you can say Krishna established government. He was the first king, the original king. He established Lord Brahma as the firstborn in the universe, as somewhat of a king, but father figure, as he puts Lord Brahma in the father of all, the children of the universe. But then as the planets become inhabited, there has to be those to guide those that are born in ignorance. Although, see, it seems human beings born out of manus, out of progenitors, are born realized. And they become favored. They worship demigods. They see demigods in position. But this form of worship that we're taking part in the spiritual world, it's an act of friendship. When you enter someone's home, they put you on the highest chair in the house. They fan you. They offer you something to drink. There's just like, it's a common courtesy. But we have human beings, as human beings, we have come so far from the standard of treating one another as human beings because of the false ego. And now we consider it to serve one another as lower, as showing ourselves to be lower than each other. If I serve you, that means that I'm your servant. That means you're above me. And it's just the opposite way around in the spiritual world. This position of servant is an expression of love. And especially when it's done willingly, but especially above that when it's done willingly with, as Krishna describes it, loving devotion. Devotion meaning that it's a continuous. As Grandfather Bhishma was pointing out as well, a continuous service, a continuous experience. And it is that continuous experience that brings assurance with it that it will go beyond this life. There's no reason for it to stop. We follow a regular daily schedule. And I have a big feeling that schedules are just going to be a little more glorified. Stove's going to be a little nicer to cook with than one. If they cook, I don't know. Maybe we only have to pick from the fruits that are there. I don't know. You don't have to eat in the spiritual world, from what I understand of it. I hope we don't have digestive bowels the same way these bodies do. And my suspicion is they don't. See, Krishna, in this form of Lord Chaitanya, he was like, was he 9 feet tall? 7 feet tall, I think he was. But he could eat as much as 100 men could consume. And he wasn't overweight. This is God. That's the way God is. He's accepting love. And it is the loving devotion that put it in the food that allows Krishna to digest it so completely. Love of his devotees that he describes as being that sauce that is on it that will allow him to accept it. Krishna. Krishna's amazing. And two, I've been thinking lately, in the spiritual world, everything is spoken is sung.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be something that everything we spoke to each other, we'd sing to each other, Right? Would you like to have some prashadam now? It's difficult to get into arguments when your mind is looking for ways to rhyme the next statement you're going to make.
So there's nothing but opera in the spiritual world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Operas and musicals.
And ad-libbed. Ad-libbed. See, they have full knowledge. That's the body, the full knowledge. Remember, Srila Prabhupada's saying, I come to remind you of what you already know. Well, that's a big, mighty statement as well. If we might take it for, just a friendly remark that an older person might like to make towards developing friendships with younger people, might be looked at like that by some people. But I believe what Srila Prabhupada, in these philosophical statements he's making them out of the statement of absolute truth. We are being reminded of the substance, the knowledge that we are made of, which means the consciousness that we have when we are in full realization of the knowledge that it is, we will know that it contains all the Veda. It contains our involvement with Krishna, Leela. While we are engaged in, you guys don't have Gayatri, but the second last verse of Gayatri is described in the book named Gayatri by Mahanidi Swami, who, wow, he grew up right here in Dearborn, Mahanidi Swami. And I met him in Vrindavan and bathed with him in the Ganges River. Wow. Yeah. As it was flowing, this huge turtle, this thing was huge. And he was going around, boy, you see a big crowd of people just leaving the shore. Boy, they're getting away from you. Let him come, to his thing, because you could take one bite of it, your leg would be gone, Big mouth, snapping, with big points on them, and that kind of turtle. But as it said, no matter what you see floating, it's sacred river. Because these sacred rivers are coming right out of the lotus feet on the throne that Krishna sits. Now, in the bottom of this universe, the causal ocean made of milk. I meditate on this every day. And that the churning of that milk. Now, the drinking of the milk in its natural state wouldn't be the same as the result of drinking what it turned into after the demigods and the demons are churning it. Now, philosophically, this can be looked at as a statement that through the whole universe, there is a churning, a fighting going on between demonic forces and godly forces, right? And they fight against each other. And as truth proves out more powerful than evil, then the end is meant to lead us to the dwelling of the Supreme. But there are demons who insist on remaining. As I've been saying in several classes, there are demons who have the deep-rooted desire so much to remain independent of Krishna. Krishna gives them a place of independence within the material universe, apart from him. I don't know that he leaves their body, though. As super soul, he still stays with them as super soul, which means there's still some hope at some time. They have to go through death. You can forget everything, even your abstinence of God, right? And the punishments of hell can change a person's mind as well. Now I'm just realizing whether punishments of hell being looked at by people as eternal, if this doesn't reveal some form of evil, sadistic belief in their own minds that they are protracting onto God.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's in that state of mind, most of the believers think they're in the minority and that the majority of people will be destroyed.
Wow. You just see, now I'm learning from you. As you point this out, they are considering themselves to be a majority, which in their minds, they don't give it much thought though, really, as we're pointing out in class, because they don't have class every day. These things don't be a big discussing point that would prove to them some of the fallacies of their own beliefs. But see how that would mean the majority of God's creation would have to be destroyed forever.
If they taught the pure Christian truth, no one would give a dime.
Yeah.
They have to teach everything with a layer of frosting on it.
Maybe that's
for the
why.
masses to feel good about it, so that they'll empty the pockets.
Yeah, and not only that, but if you notice, every lecture they give comes with the beg for money at the end.
I have, when I was doing the Mormon thing, there was a lady who was checking out our church. She left her church because they installed an ATM in the foyer. Huh? She left her church because they put an ATM in the foyer so that to make it easier to get your cash out and give it to God. Not like this where it immediately goes in.
Yeah.
They got cash out to give.
Oh,
Not checks, actually cash out to
oh my
give.
God. Probably cash out, they cost you money to
Yes.
cash out as well, so they make money into that.
Because
and
when you
then
got
the money-
cash, you don't have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
It's not traceable.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the attitude. And the thing of it is, if they taught the truth, they would offend about 3/4 of their congregation and they would all leave. And then they wouldn't have jobs.
Yeah. Now see, my mother, not knowing how taxes work, she was so against people writing off donations for taxes because she was thinking the government was reimbursing them for all the donations they had given.
Oh, yeah.
That's what, in her mind, what was being done. Mom, it's only a percentage.
Yeah.
And your money is not taxed. You know? So people's misconceptions of the way government works can cause them to draw conclusions about who they want to choose to be their appointed leader. And so this is why it's important for people to understand to a great extent. If they're going to live in a representative republic like we live in with the ability to vote, then they should know how the system works and what the voting system means. Because I remember growing up, my mother used to work in the, where they would count all the votes in this. They used to count by hand, even I think at one point. But used to make comments on how they were cheating so much. And with this idea in the United States, within the courtroom, that justice is blind. And they have a picture of justice riding a horse with blindfolds on and a balance.
Yeah.
This is because of the idea in the minds of those who have formed the government that human beings cannot be fair, cannot make fair decisions without the prejudices they have formed being exhibited by the use of their eyes. Right? So if you can see the person who's being accused of committing a crime, you will hold prejudices in your mind automatically about anyone. But just by being told they're accused of a crime immediately puts prejudices in your mind. How'd they get there to begin with? Fate has brought you here, you must be guilty. And this is why the idea of a person is innocent until they're proven guilty. Because so many, this came as a result of so many people being killed by the government, even though they were later found out to be innocent. So, if God is not in the courtroom, then judgment's going to be made that is better to be made by blind men, probably. If they condemn, how many lives, if a person in government office, these are the laws of money, is responsible for the death of a person by the laws they are found guilty of breaking, and they are innocent, the person that has determined that they are guilty will be held accountable for 7 times. Yeah. It takes that many because it takes that many to learn the lesson. When it gets embedded, this is why people have fear of water. They die at sea. They have fear of spiders. They've been bitten by a spider, they kill them. They have fear of the flying. They've flown and died. So all of our phobias are not without cause, even though people may think they have a child, 5 years old. Why is he so afraid of this thing or that thing? Because he's actually experienced that before. I'm interested in finding out about this 5-year-old boy that can translate these manuscripts, which manuscripts are themselves saying He's the one that will be able to translate them, because these manuscripts may well be that they can unite the world. There is knowledge going to be coming that will unite the world in the future. And it's going to show a relationship between all the ancient cultures that have existed with a unifying force. Krishna is going to do this by the spreading of his holy name. Because these cultures that are of such ancient nature, that have also been given instruction by those in their own familial lines to raise their conscience so that they can, singing and dancing as a cultural characteristic can only be done by people who have already taken care of the needs of society. You can't sing and dance if you're starving, can you? I think you can try it. And in fact, see, that is the answer. If they were singing and dancing Krishna's names, irregardless of the environmental circumstances, Krishna would automatically make the arrangement. And if no arrangement was made, no better way to leave the body than to be singing and dancing, because that's what we'll be doing, that's what we'll be going to. And if, in fact, the soul, see, this is how, now again, here I am learning again, because at the beginning of the class I was asking, does the soul need to eat? But we know that we have been taught by Scripture that what the soul lives on is the words that proceed out of God's mouth. And so there is no digestive system required other than the heart to accept or reject. This is what Srila Prabhupada said, the mind has the only purpose the mind has is accepting or rejecting based on our previous experiences, of course. This is what conditioning is all about. And this is what modern psychology is finding the way to so-called cure human beings of psychological traits that they have developed through conditioning. So it's on a reward and punishment basis that they try to change the personalities of people who are having problems. And Krishna works on the same basis, karma works on the same basis, which to some extent says why lawmakers who think they can change or that they have to create laws are misguided in that belief. However, sinful activities, if they're not stopped by human beings, there wouldn't be human beings eventually. Now, this is what happened with previous civilizations. And this is why I believe Krishna's going to arm us. Already he's armed us with what he is saying is the most powerful force there is in the universe, this chanting of Hare Krishna. He has invested all of his spiritual potencies in this chanting of his names. But there are mantras also in Bhagavatam specific to the military protection of military forces, of the external energy, protective in that way. And I believe those will be enacted to protect the devotees. Because the same way Krishna protects us, he gives us the means of being protected. And these things will be learned. Srila Prabhupada brings out in a purport that those who are practicing the martial arts will come to us for instruction. And I had question of this, and then realizing that Bhagavatam explains the mantras for creating Narayana Kavacha, which is a shield It can protect an entire city of people. There is no bomb in the universe that can puncture through the Shrimadbhagavatam.
Wow.
Yeah. They have no idea. They have no idea. Modern scientists who think we're the most advanced have no idea what a Shrimadbhagavatam has the ability to withstand. See, Trump talks about a wall. There is a fire protection, a circle of fire that was put around Sita Devi by Lakshman, which nobody could enter into. Nobody could enter into.
Interesting.
Also a form of protection given by Krishna to Brahmins for their protection. And in this age it is said that these things are not given. Not yet. Not yet. But when the age becomes controlled by Krishna consciousness. So see, just like right now, the earth is in a stage, as we're saying, for the most part people are in a fallen state. But at one time, the whole world was covered with people who believe in God. So what we're saying, what I'm coming to the realization of, is that this 10,000 year period of time that will last through Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada described as the golden age, the Satya Yuga within Kali Yuga, even though the whole population becomes Krishna conscious, for the most part. There may be one evil one again, because that's how it is in Satya Yuga. On the old planet, there's only one demon on the whole planet. And it was like that in Satya Yuga. But the nature of the forces of Kali Yuga, environmentally controlled by the outer covering of karma that covers this world, false ego, will be such that people will fall away even from that. So that at the end of 10,000 years, and this yuga lasts for 432,000 years, of which 5,000 have passed, you have about 427,000 years that will last of Kali Yuga from now, 10,000 of which, so we take 10,000 away from 430,000, 427,000 is 417,000.
And that's the shortest yuga as well.
And it's the shortest yuga. But it's a universe, which to some extent reveals how low we are in the universe as far as calculating time is. So that it would be more directly for a season. I think you'd have to be on Tapaloka for it to be considered like one of your various seasons. They live almost unlimited for as long as they want to stay. Tapaloka. Although, wait a minute, are they chanting Om? Are they personalized? Lord Brahma has 4 heads, and he knows Krishna. So he's chanting the Vedas, we know, out of 1 head. But see, when you don't have enough heads to chant all you want to, Krishna gives you more. One of the Goswamis said, I wish I had millions of tongues, you know. So Krishna can make that arrangement. And the thing is to prove to Krishna that we're going to use the tongue that we do have. Because the tongue is in control of the belly and the genitals as well. So it is the controlling of the tongue, which is what the chanting is and what the chanting does. So see, normally, let's say you're going to protect yourself. You're going to go down to the hardware store, buy a gun, you got to talk to some guy at the counter, you got to get a license, you got to pay him some money. What do you do with Krishna mantra? sit in the temple, in a form of worship towards Krishna, acknowledge all these mantras are glorification of God and His ability to protect us. Which would you rather do? Drive down the hardware and have some cop pull you over because you're going too fast before you get there? Or you talk to Krishna and recite beautiful prayers of glorification of Krishna that ensure, this is also insurance policy. One insurance policy, find the insurance agent that's going to protect you from getting shot by a bullet. Is there one? I don't think so. They can even give you a bulletproof vest. They can't protect you from that. What about an atomic bomb? So Krishna, that's what these mantras are giving the two participants of the Vedic culture. But see, the application in totality of the Vedic culture is not just what we're doing now. They're having fire sacrifices constantly. The whole city raises cows and brings all their butter forth. They bring all their gold forth. Much like the children of Israel were doing when they were in the desert. They had no other thing. They gathered all gold to make a cow.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They melted down all the gold. Well, this would be done for Krishna when the planet becomes self-realized. Imagine on the earth, every fire burning is burning as an offering to Krishna. It is being used in that spiritual energy of God. Then fire itself becomes human beings' greatest friend. See, the demigods, see, they want us also to engage in this service because it engages them. And the more control we give them by offering their goods, then the more they want to bless the earth as well, to bring pleasant environmental sets of circumstances, to bring those foodstuffs from Mother Earth that Krishna will be satisfied with. We're so desirous of changing things the way they were originally made, we think we can do it better. So the whole agricultural industry now is set around manipulating the genetic codes, which are put there exactly according to karmic regulation. And they're being manipulated by people who have no knowledge of the soul, which that is a manifestation of. That genetic code is a manifestation of the soul's history, as it has the effect. By altering that, you alter the soul's ability to produce and the type of production it will create, which is bad. This is man thinking he's God. Yeah. Same manifestation. Those that are using these mantras. Now I just learned another thing as well. Talking about fall downs. In another 5,000 to 10,000 years, they start to think themselves as all powerful. See how easy that is to happen. Even getting real religious, you know. And it's explained that religiousness is not what pleases Krishna. It's the condition of the heart towards loving Him. Yep, it's getting late. Any comments, any questions, any realizations? John. Shrimadbhagavatam, Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai.